ThaiPBS English News Service. I'm Supajon Kunsuwan. Authorities are strengthening security measures for teachers and students in the restive southern provinces following frequent bomb attacks targeting officers on duty because the insurgents appear to know exactly when and where the officers will plan to patrol once they do the attacks. Soldiers, police, and security authorities in Yala, Pattani, and Narathiwat provinces are strengthening protection and security measures for teachers and students in risky areas after a number of officers on duty were murdered or injured while trying to do their jobs. Lieutenant General Udomchai Thamasaro Rat, 4th Army Region Commander, indicated that authorities who face the highest risk are those on patrol, in particular those who escort teachers on regular routes, as the routine makes it easier for insurgents to instigate violence by accurately predicting their movements when on duty. Therefore, a more cautious plan is to be developed. Meanwhile, authorities in Songkhla have raised the security level at government offices and in business districts after the authorities were notified of 2 to 3 suspicious vehicles entering the area. Additionally, CCTV systems have been inspected to ensure that they are working effectively, and some agencies have added more security cameras. The 2 men who together killed an Australian tour operator in Phuket province in June were sentenced to death today. However, the penalty commuted to life imprisonment since they had both confessed to the crime.
Surasak Suwanachod and Surin Thapthong were initially sentenced to death for killing 60-year-old Australian Michelle Smith in Phuket on June 20th this year. 26-year-old Surasak stabbed Smith several times as he tried to rob her. He told the court he had only planned to slash the strap of the purse, not to injure Smith. 37-year-old Surin was the driver of the motorbike the pair used. Another Australian woman who tried to help Smith also received knife injuries to her arm. Because the two had confessed, the judge reduced the penalty from death to life imprisonment. Australia's honorary consul for Phuket expressed belief that the Thai officials had handled the situation well.
Well, I think everyone is pleased that it has finished. It has been finished very quickly. The work of the police was excellent in capturing the 2 criminals so quickly. The court case has now completed and the sentences have been handed down.
Despite their lives having been spared, the 2 men say they plan to appeal the sentence. Thai police were ordered to wrap up this case as soon as possible, as Phuket's reputation as a main tourist destination was on the line.
As red shirt leaders Jatuporn Prompan and Kawkyaw Pikuntong face the possibility of return to prison if their bail is revoked by the court tomorrow, police are reinforcing protection around the criminal court on Ratchada Pisek Road in case the red shirt supporters' protests turn violent. Along with Jatuporn and Kawkyaw, 22 more red shirts will be called in to give evidence before the court, after which the court will decide whether or not the 2 leaders did indeed breach the terms of their bail. The defendants were imprisoned in April on terror charges and were subsequently released on bail on the condition that they did not stir up any more violence through their public speeches. Nipit Intarasombat, a Democrat MP for Pathalung province, is asking the criminal court to revoke the bail for Kawkyaw and another red shirt leader after they publicly criticized the Constitution Court's verdict on the Charter Amendment process. The Constitution Court has formally asked the criminal court to revoke Jatuporn's bail, which could mean his immediate return to prison. Despite the police being confident that the massive numbers of red shirt supporters will not attempt to storm the court, no matter which way the verdict goes, 600 police and commando units will surely be deployed to ensure safety. Deputy PM Kitirat Naranong said that the government will maintain the rice pledging scheme regardless of the ongoing implementation problems, shortage issues, and maintenance costs. Meanwhile, an economist from the Thailand Development Research Institute, or TDRI, has warned that the populist policies of the Pheu Thai government are harmful to the country's economic growth.
At the end of his first year in power, the Pheu Thai government's economic policy has been widely criticized by scholars, especially the rice pledging scheme. Last year, Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra wooed the voter by promising to guarantee the rice price for farmers, buying wet rice and fragrant rice at 15,000 and 20,000 baht per ton respectively, which are way above the world market prices. The government is attempting to release 17 million tons of rice, which has accumulated in warehouses, by selling it at above market prices. However, since the government is running out of storage space, they are likely to be forced to release the rice at a much lower price than it paid for it. Amma Sayamwala, honorary economist at the Thailand Development Research Institute, or TDRI, said that this will put downward pressure on the price because the government will be releasing more rice to the world market.
The last year they have been sitting on the stocks. They have withdrawn from the market, the world market, about 10 million tons of milled rice. This year they will release some of that 10 million tons, but at the same time will buy back. So the net amount of withdrawal from the market will be less than 10 million tons now.
The TDRI estimates the losses in the first year of the rice pledging program have reached more than 100 billion baht based on the current prices, storage and maintenance costs. Meanwhile, Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Kitirat Naranong said that the government will maintain the rice pledging scheme, regardless of its ongoing problems. Kitirat avoided comment on the transparency and implementation of the scheme, but pointed that it benefits Thai farmers and provides them with a better quality of life. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says that normally Thailand exports 9 to 10 million tons of rice per year. However, this year, only 6.5 million tons are forecast to be exported because of the high price set by the rice pledging program.
Thank you, Bandit. In the first year of the Pheu Thai government's economic policies, the Thai economy has faced many difficulties due to both the policies themselves as well as other external factors. Dr. Rungtip Chonapalai spoke to Dr. Anusorn Thamachai, the Dean of the Faculty of Economics at Rangsit University, who discussed the challenges facing the Thai export sector.
I think Thai economy can expand quite good this year. But I think still below potential growth of the country.
This government has been criticized that they spend a lot of money and also is more or less populism kind of schemes. What do you think of that?
Populist policy is not a bad thing, but populist policy needs to follow the framework of good macroeconomic policy. That's based on financial and fiscal discipline. So it's not have a problem in the future or increase any public debt beyond the suitable level.
Right now the public debt is about 42% for GDP, and you think that how much more could we expand to the limit that we cannot go further?
We should not exceed 60% of GDP public debt.
That means that there's still some room to grow.
Yes, because we need investment, especially infrastructure, both hardware and software. Hardware, especially infrastructure that related with logistic system, mass transit.
As for in terms of the rice scheme, it has been criticized a lot for this government. What do you think of this?
I think the target or the direction of the policy is tied to increase the revenues of the farmer, tied to help the problem of income distribution, especially in the agricultural sector. But the administrative process still have a problem, so we need to improve that to make it more transparency and also more efficient.
Thank you, Dr. Rungtip. A civil study group on free trade agreements called FTA Watch has sent an open letter to the Prime Minister and the Commerce Ministry. The letter seeks clarity in process of establishing any future FTAs with the European Union, a proposal which will be forwarded to Parliament within this month. Kanika Kittiwechakul, coordinator of FTA Watch, has submitted an open letter to Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra and Commerce Minister Bunsong Teriya Pirom, asking for clarification on the FTA negotiations between Thailand and the EU being held this month. The letter was sent despite the fact that the details of the proposed FTA have not yet been published for analysis by all related agencies or gone through a public hearing phase, as stipulated in Article 190 of the Constitution. The FTA Watch Coordinator added that the Commerce Ministry should not view the FTA as simply a way to mitigate the impact on Thai exports caused by the withdrawal of the Generalized System of Preferences, or GSP, in 2 years' time. Instead, it must deliberate over each detail in the FTA and use the lessons learned from the past FTA experiences with countries like India. Earlier, Sirat Rathapana, Director General of the Trade Negotiations Department, said that she will submit the Thai-EU FTA framework to Parliament this month so that the actual negotiations with the EU can begin next year. Priority will be given to the impacts arising from the GSP withdrawal, and products that will be hardest hit will receive tariff breaks immediately after the FTA is signed. If this is not done, the GSP withdrawal is initially expected to hit Thai exports by as much as 300 billion baht. The Indonesian foreign minister has cautioned that ASEAN will face problems if members cannot find common ground in the South China Sea dispute. His remarks came as the region celebrates ASEAN's 45th birthday anniversary today. Today marks ASEAN's 45th anniversary, and a celebration was held at the Region Secretariat Office in Jakarta, Indonesia. Regional leaders, including ASEAN Secretary General Surin Pisuwan, Indonesian Foreign Minister Mardi Negalaga, and ambassadors from the member states were in attendance as the ASEAN flag was raised. At the same time, Vietnam celebrated the historic occasion in its capital, Hanoi. While the launch of the ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC, in 2015 will present greater opportunities, regional leaders predicted that challenges are bound to arise. One such challenge is the protracted sovereignty dispute in the South China Sea. Disagreements between the stakeholders led to a failure to issue a joint communique at the end of the recent ASEAN foreign ministers meeting in Phnom Penh. That was the first time such failure to reach an agreement has occurred in ASEAN's 4.5 decades of diplomacy. Taking the opportunity that the 45th anniversary presented, Indonesian Foreign Minister Mardi Negalaga emphasized the urgent need for ASEAN members to resolve the South China Sea dispute together. He warned the future regional turbulence if ASEAN and China cannot agree on common maritime guidelines. And yesterday, dozens of animal rights activists rallied in front of the South Korean embassy in the Thai capital to call for action to halt Korea's consumption of dog and cat meat, which is considered a delicacy.
The protest attracted activists from all over the world because August the 7th is the third and final day, known as Malbok, of the Korean dog meat eating festival Boknal.
Today is the last day of Boknal, which is the dog eating festival in Korea, and it's a global event, and the Korean KARA, Korean animal rights advocates, are asking us to help support the cause in Korea. That's why we're here today.
The Boknal festival is celebrated at the height of the summer, and dog meat is eaten, as some believe, to increase stamina to withstand the heat. However, animal rights activists claim that more than 5 million dogs are slaughtered each year to feed South Korea's appetite for dog delicacies. At yesterday's protest, campaigners had their faces painted with and chanted the slogan, "Friend, not food," and some held posters of traditional Korean dishes made with dog meat. The activists also handed over a protest letter to a representative from the Korean embassy. The issue of eating dog meat has been in the news in Thailand recently after the interception of several large consignment of canines en route to neighbouring countries' kitchens. Smugglers often buy the dogs for next to nothing or in exchange for cheap plastic goods like buckets and bowls, and then transport them across borders, where they are added to the menu. Hugh Adams, Thai PBS.
Thank you, Hugh. And at Thai PBS, we're offering job opportunities for those who wish to join the English News Service team. To find more details, please visit the Thai PBS website at www.thaipbs.or.th. And if you're interested, please send us your resume or email us a letter, and we'll reply you with a job description. That's all the time we have for tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Sawadee krap.